Hibbly jibbly, it's Hotline League episode 81. We've got such a great show for you guys tonight. Our special guest is Stixxay, Trevor Hayes from CLG. You know, we didn't talk to him for a very long time because he was on a team that just kept losing, but now he's winning, so he gets to be on a show where it's going to be fantastic. We got Mark Zimmerman here. Mark Zimmerman, how's it going?
It's going good. I feel like shit. My stomach's upset because I drank a anchovy fish oil smoothie last night and then ate about 2 pounds of meat on top of it. So
Yeah.
I want to die.
Well, we can talk about that in a second.
Let's not.
But this week has actually been this weekend has been fantastic. I actually think Saturday was the best day of League of Legends LCS action in quite some time. We had so much stuff going on, and Rift Rivals is coming up this week. Stixxay's got a week off, which is nice for him. We'll talk about that, and so much before. But before I get into that, I want to shout out Alienware. Behind me is a beautiful Alienware Aurora. Here's a monitor. We want to thank them for the support. We'll discuss them a little bit more. And something special that we are doing, that's a live Hotline League that's happening this Friday with alcohol. Yes, there will be booze there. You can come watch it if you're in LA. But that'll be happening. We'll talk more about that later on. But first off, my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. So, yesterday on air, you had to drink, what was in the smoothie?
It was banana, strawberry as like the base, and then they put in anchovies, fish oil, and blue cheese.
And you said it was salty. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah, it was. I think anchovies are pretty salty, and I think fish oil is very salty. So it was just super, super salty, and then had a very fishy aftertaste. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
It didn't smell bad though, which is, I guess.
What was funny was you seemed to take it very well when you sipped it at first. You're like, oh, it's kind of salty, but Crumbs looked like he was about to vomit.
One of the PAs tried it. He looked like he was gonna vomit. It's like, yeah, it creeps up on you. It's not. It's like just like a disgust. It's just like if you drink salt water. Like if you just open your mouth in the ocean, it kind of tastes like that. And then just imagine like a lot fishier aftertaste.
Yeah, that sounds awful. That sounds.
It
really
was.
bad.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. Well, we're joined by Stixxay from CLG. How's it going, Stixxay?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you, Travis?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Yeah,
that's good to hear.
I was actually, so I'm going to just address this. I was pretty bored with the beginning of LCS this split. Like, I thought it was relatively intellectually interesting that the majority of the teams were tied, but also kind of makes it weird because it makes like the narratives and stuff kind of hard. I felt like it's like what teams are good, what teams aren't, and I felt like there was too much interesting stuff. And then Saturday happened, and it just felt like we had all this crazy stuff happening. Golden Guardians almost beat TL. We had 2 back-to-back upsets right after that. Scarlet on Optic had his debut, did really well. That whole day I was just like, whoa. And it was great because it fed the energy. My interviews always feed off of like how excited I am about what's going on, because sometimes it's just like I just feel like there's not much to talk about. And then things went really well. So how was this weekend for you, Stixxay?
It was alright. We went 1-1. We lost to C9 and we beat FlyQuest, so wasn't too bad. But
Yeah.
definitely got smashed by C9, so
Yes.
didn't feel too great.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. So they lost oddly on Saturday, but then they beat you guys. So I don't know what that says about Cloud9. Maybe inconsistent at the moment. I don't know.
Or what does it say about 100 Thieves? That's the real question.
Yep.
Yeah.
100 Thieves will win
three-game
Worlds.
winning streak. Yeah.
Mark, I need to fix your camera. For some reason it froze up. Yes, the 100 Thieves thing is super fascinating as well. Because now they're on as you said, a 3-game win streak, which is just wild. Like that team, we were talking about whether or not they were going to even be able, like, do they just collapse now since they can't seem to win? And it seemed to work out just fine for them, whatever changes they made. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think, like you're saying, just the fact that summer split is very different from spring, despite not having a ton of turnover. Like FlyQuest is the worst team in the league right now, despite no changes in being 4th before. And Echo Fox is no longer a playoff team, and Optic's sick, and CLG's sick, and Clutch is doing better. And, you know, like it's surprising that there's been this much different from last split without that many roster moves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, That's what's going on there. We also have Rift Rivals coming up. That'll be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this week. Stixxay, that means that you have the week off. Are you excited to have the week off? Is it a nice break?
I don't really have the week off. I have a day and a half off, I think. But it's still pretty nice. It's my first day off of the whole split, so.
I mean, are you going to be scrimming on Saturday and Sunday?
I think just Saturday. Oh, you're right. I do have another day off coming up.
Yeah.
But right now, as of now, this is like my day off. And then tomorrow I have some stuff to do. But I have like partially the day off, but no scrims, so.
Are you guys trying to get scrims with the European teams when they come over?
That would be nice, but I don't think so.
Or do you know if the European teams are even planning on scrimming or just being like, fuck that, we're jet lagged?
I have no idea. I'm a loser. I don't know much about the Rift Rivals situation.
Yeah. Well, Rift Rivals hit. Teamfight Tactics has been out for a week and is about to go live over the next couple of days. So, Mark, I got official permission because
wait, was it Stixxay who said something?
Well, I think it's funny that you
right.
mixed it up with. But I have an interview coming out. Is it today? Well, maybe tomorrow. But I did an interview with PoE where he accidentally leaked that there was a Teamfight Tactics show match that took place, and they're going to release it. I think in the next couple days. I'm not sure when, but we could officially say that it happened. We won't spoil any of the results or whatever, but let's see. I think the people that were in it were Biofrost, Contracts, Rick Fox, Steve from Team Liquid, Reggie, Jack, and then there's another player, I think, right? Oh, media
Contracts?
No, I already said Contracts. Contracts, Biofrost, and there was one more player.
Po Belter.
Yeah, Po Belter, yes. And so we watched that on Saturday, and you cast it, Mark.
Mm-hmm. I have casted the first official TFT competition.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's
probably the highlight of my weekend.
It was pretty fun to watch. I actually highly recommend people check it out. But what was interesting to me about it was, I mean, I think it obviously helped that it's like Jack and Steve and all these guys, but Rick Fox, trying to see if he can perform better in TFT that he has on the Rift. But
I don't want to spoil anything, but if you check certain CLG supports Twitter, you might be able to glean a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, we don't need to do that, but I highly recommend people check it out. It was fun to watch, and you guys did. It was you and Azale, and you guys did a pretty good job casting it.
Yeah, it was really weird because they don't have a replay or a spectator thing set up yet. Yeah. So we used, I think it was like, I don't think it matters that I'm spoiling this, but we used what was it called for ProView? I think it's called technically Shadow Play or something. I forget.
I'm pretty sure Shadow Play.
Yeah, so I think we used ProView / Shadow Play or whatever to be able to look at all 8, and then they routed that to us on one of our monitors so we could see all 8 boards, but it was like really squished and hard to see. And then we had another one that was kind of directed by someone who was just kind of hopping between the boards that was full screen, and that was kind of like what the viewers were seeing. So it was really weird and kind of hard to figure out exactly what to do, but like eventually we found our groove, and I think like once people start getting eliminated, it's a lot easier because you just like watch people lose over and over and get knocked out. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And Mandalorian in chat says, where can I find it? I mentioned this a little bit ago, but I know they're planning on streaming it, I think, or maybe just releasing it to you. I don't know where, but it should be available, and I'm sure the All Esports Twitter account will tweet it out in the next day or two. So hopefully you guys can check it. I'm really excited about. It was interesting to me because it was the first time where I'd seen, like, I haven't watched any auto chess tournaments, but I was surprised at how well the format worked. I think it probably helped because they're all like known personalities and stuff. I don't know if I would watch like an 8-hour Teamfight Tactics tournament, though maybe I would. But highly recommend people check that out. But if you guys want to talk about Teamfight Tactics, we can do that. It's been out for a week, and we could field some questions. World Championships cities, venues, and dates got announced. So we know that it's in Berlin and Spain. We're in Spain, Madrid. I forget. Madrid, and then finals are in Paris. So we can talk about that. And the dates are a little later. It's about 1 week later than it normally is. I'm trying to think of anything else besides LCS Teamfight Tactics, the Worlds announcement.
Have you played any Stixxay Teamfight Tactics?
The only thing I've done is sat in a queue for a really long time. Have not played.
All right, let's say no Teamfight Tactics questions. Else Stixxay's maybe sitting here like.
I mean, we could take one or two, right?
We'll see. If there's a good one, if it's just like, hey, I think Teamfight Tactics is cool, I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Well.
Otherwise, yeah, I think just talking about CLG changes from last split to this split. Obviously, you have Rune coming, and now we can get a lot of first-hand info, as well as just like what the coaching staff has been.
Hello? I'm not dropping frames. Oh, wait, there we go. Hi.
Hello?
Hi. For some reason, we just had a brief internet hiccup. Sorry, you were saying what the coaching staff is what?
Oh, I was just saying that, like, just general coaching staff stuff and like what's it like. And then I was saying I was sad that they were not first because the C9 game was. I thought they were gonna win it. I thought CLG had it.
Yes. Yes.
Is my cam frozen, by the way?
It might be.
Might be.
Yes, it is. I will fix that. Good catch.
Okay.
So yeah, we have CLG conversations to have and discussions around that and the comeback of the team and how it's innately tied to Nick Allen leaving the organization because it seemed to really start looking well whenever he left. And yeah, all sorts of stuff to talk about on the show tonight. Mark, do you want to explain how the show works for Stixxay, who evidently has never watched it?
Hasn't Stixxay been on before?
I was at the Miami in-person one, actually.
Yeah, it's the same thing except we use Discord. So I'm spamming the Discord right now with the link to join. Go ahead and join up. Once you get here, join pleb calls or pleb calls to the voice channels, and then mute yourself once you're in there. And then the pleb topics or subtopics text channels, go type up whatever it is you want to talk about. Hopefully it's a take. Like, I think CLG will finish top 3, as opposed to like, I want to talk about how good CLG is, because I don't know what you're actually going to say then. If we like your topic, we'll go ahead and pull you into the waiting room where you'll hang out until it is your turn. We'll do a quick audio check, and then you'll be on air.
There you go. If you are a sub, by the way, first off, thank you for being a sub. You're a dying breed. But it also gives you access to the subtopics chat. So that channel moves a little slower. You can drop your topic in there, and it gives you just a bit of a better chance of being on the show. And that's, by the way, it's I look, this is my personal opinion, but I have found that subs are better human beings. Hey, Sam. Kobe's home. Subs are better human beings, and you want to be a better human being. So, yeah, I see some subs hidden right now. All right. Mark, are you pulling people yet?
Yeah, I can go get someone.
Oh, you've got 4 people in there. Okay. We're going to dive into it. Cloud9 sent you your jersey, and you want to show it on stream? Stixxay, why isn't Cloud9 sent, or why isn't CLG sent... Oh, CLG sent you stuff too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I lost it.
You lost it?
Lost it, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. That's the Kobe cameo for the evening. Mark should be joining us in just a second. I'm gonna try to read off some subs. But where are we? It's loading up right now.
I think I might have a Twitch Prime sub for you, actually, Travis.
Really?
Yeah,
That'd
let
be
me.
great. Actually, people usually gift.
Oh, yeah.
You might hold back because sometimes people gift.
Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. This one's
Really?
just for you.
Wow.
Which chat's telling me you're brain lagging again, Travis? Were you brain lagging while I was gone?
A little bit. A little bit.
We got
I don't
our
know why
first
I'm
call.
brain lagging so much. Actually, I know why I'm brain lagging so much.
Can
but
I?
it's-
I'm gonna text Kobe to slap you in the face, wake you up.
I feel extra pressure tonight. We've got special viewers on the chat.
We got Big Dixxay on.
Yeah, it's definitely not Stixxay that's causing that. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Sakowitz, welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. You're a little quiet, so I'm going to turn you up. Can you get closer to the mic a bit?
Is that better?
Yes, that's way better. That's way better. So Houston, Texas. How is Houston?
Very warm, very misty.
Very misty? You mean like humid or?
Yeah, very humid.
Okay.
That's a better way to say it.
Do you live in actual Houston or you live in like the suburbs?
Oh no, I live in Houston.
Okay, nice. I liked Houston when I went there. I was there about a year and a half ago, and I really enjoyed it. Maybe 2 years. Either way, what's your topic for? Kobe's yelling about how the Cloud9 jersey says his name on it. Anyway, what is your topic for the evening?
So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on particularly the new problem that teams are finally seeming to address about vocal pressure, and how I guess the CLG's removal of Darshan kickstarted that. So on Inside CLG, I believe is where I first heard it, is that it gave me the idea that, hey, Darshan almost had too much quote unquote veteran power, and when he was removed, it allowed everyone to have more of a voice into what was going on. Now, I know that it's going to be a little different for other teams because of all different players have different experiences.
You're getting quieter again. I don't know if your microphone is.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
But for example, on old quote unquote old CLG, I guess you could call them, I guess right before Huhi, and Stixxay was popping off. No disrespect, Stixxay, you were popping off.
Thank you.
They started winning because they all had really good veteran players until Stixxay and Huhi came in again, popping off at the time. But like if you look at TL now, the new Golden Guardians and the old 100 Thieves, these are all players that I guess quote have a lot more, I guess, equivalent status to each other. I mean, Golden Guardians is a little different because of Deathly, but I just wonder how this is hitting your ear. Are we going to see more changes of the removal of veterans, even if they're good? Like Darshan is definitely not a bad player.
So sorry. I'm just trying to make your questions kind of sum it up, or your topic is the idea that certain teams have veteran players on them for a long time, and maybe it's teams get too attached to it, or.
I think the point is that there's some people who take on too large of a shot calling role in their team, and it stops other people from being able to contribute or something like that.
Gotcha. Is that it, Sacco?
Yeah, specifically veterans.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, first off, Stixxay, do you think that that's a fair assessment of what was going on with CLG, and was it just sort of a thing where like Darshan had too much of this on him, and now that he's not active on the main roster and is over at Golden Guardians, that it allows you guys to communicate in a different style?
I think in a way, yes, but also no. Because I think Darshan, while he was a vocal part of the team, I wouldn't say it like inhibited anyone else on the team from saying what they wanted to say. So I wouldn't say it really affected too much. I think the biggest change for us was just having a change, and while Rune is a bit quieter, I also just think that the players that we kept like improved pretty massively. So that was like why the team overall looks a lot better. But I definitely don't think it was like because Darshan's like inhibiting people from making calls because he wants to do things his way or anything like that. Because I definitely think everyone had like a lot of room to say what they wanted to say.
How much of it is Wiggly? Because I know when he was on Academy, he was kind of like the main shot caller, I think, from what I understood. Like, especially in the early game, he would say what he wanted to do, and his lanes would react to him versus him reacting to his lanes. Was that something that was different in spring to summer, or is it just now that he's had more time on stage, he's just better? Or is it actually like his shot calling has changed?
I would say his shot calling is actually very similar. He does almost everything on our team. And I just think he got a lot better. I think he does like the similar types of calls, except they're just right more often. Whereas last split it was like wrong a lot of the time. So.
Well, Mark, do you think more broadly speaking that there's that even if it's only sort of the case with. Hello.
Hello?
Show it? Oh, this is the CLG one? You need to show it so that they can see it on the screen. There you go. That's you're not. Mark is not enjoying this segment.
Kobe.
Thank
Kobe,
you, Kobe.
Can you slap Travis? He's been having some brain lag and needs to
Please
wake
don't
up.
slap me.
Can you just give him a little slap?
I'll explain later, Kobe. You'll understand why my brain is lagging. Hello. Mark, do you think that even if the topic of, one person having too much pressure on them from a shot calling perspective, it's maybe only half applicable to CLG, do you think that there's a chance that this could be applied to other teams in the LCS?
Yeah, I think there's some players who definitely kind of just like word vomit things, and it's not inherently bad or good. It's just sometimes it fills comms up. So I know like when I worked with Smoothie, he was a little bit like this at points where he would just like kind of say what's going on in his lane, but it wasn't like actionable necessarily, and it wasn't like he was telling his AD carry. I think some play like that's just the only one I can think of off the top of my head because I've had personal experience with it, and I'm sure it was a rough and tumble time back in between season 5 and 6 for TL. There's a lot of things that happened, so I'm not gonna say Smoothie is the exact same player or anything. But I think a lot of teams. I don't know if teams still do this, but we did comms analysis where like I had an analyst whose job it was to sit there and we had a spreadsheet broken down into different topics at different points in the game, and every time someone said something, they would get a little tally, and so then we would see how much people are talking at different points in the game. And then you can start analyzing and making pie charts about like, oh, this guy makes 80% of our comms. This guy doesn't do this. And then you can say just generally we talk about Dragon like twice. We should probably be focusing more on paying attention to Dragon timers because it doesn't seem like we're talking about it very much. And so we had a lot of spreadsheets around that stuff to try and figure out like, oh, Quasin laning phase doesn't talk at all. Like we kind of already knew that, but now we have more specifically like what his calls are, and we can track it for the whole split and see how he's improving and stuff like that. So I don't know if teams do comm analysis still or what, but like that was something we really did. And I think you can get players who just by virtue of their personality or what just want to talk more. Like I know when we had Xpecial, he was like, him and Dom were like 65-70% of our comms on that roster because Piglet, Phoenix, and Quas were pretty quiet. So like, every team will be different, and it was fine for us because they were naturally quiet. It wasn't like they were trying to make calls and they were getting talked down or anything like that. But I think every team will be different.
Stixxay, how different is like how's the communication on CLG evolved over time? And is this the most different it's ever been now that Darshan has gone and Ruin's in?
It's definitely a lot different. I mean, I've played with a lot of different players on CLG so far, and I think primarily most of our communication is almost always coming from my jungler. Outside of maybe in the Dardoch era, we might have had just like primarily Afro. But yeah, outside of that, it's just like primarily the jungler that calls most things, and laners are calling, certain informations or like things they tell the jungler, and the jungler can make the decision based off of that information. But it's not too different. I feel like it's pretty standard in most teams nowadays.
Well, Sacco, does that address your topic, you feel?
Very much so. Thank you for answering.
Well, thank you for calling in all the way from Houston. Any shout-outs or anything you want to say here before we say goodbye?
Yeah, shout out to Alienware for sponsoring the most wonderful podcast on the planet, and shout out to Energy Institute Esports Club.
There you go.
Okay.
Shout out to them. Thanks so much for the call.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good one. All right, moving on to the next caller. Mark's going to run off and grab them. Meanwhile, I want to shout out Pumapock, Laughster, Sergeant Muffinhammer. I love the names that you guys have. It just makes me feel great reading them out. Cool Mo Damage, Vito Chu 97, Vito Chu 97, Merx Zay, Gulino, Sakowitz, who was just on the show, and Berg 5. We got Tango Tamer on the show.
Yes, hi.
You've called in before, I believe.
Yes, I have. I believe it was for All Stars.
All Stars. Okay, so it's been a bit. Where are you calling from? Remind me.
I'm calling from Montreal. Actually.
Montreal. Well, I have a friend who's visiting me from Montreal. She's not here right now, unfortunately, but I'm sure she'd be excited to hear. I went to Montreal for winter a year and a half ago. Really enjoyed it.
I think I saw
No
you
one
tweeted
cares,
about
Travis.
Mark, they care. All right, people. This is they tune in for my
Stixxay
travel
took time
conversation.
out of his day off to hear about how you went to Montreal last year.
I was there for the first snow of the year. It was quite delightful. Tango Tamer, what do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So my topic was about 100 Thieves and their potential playoff run and possibly making top 4.
All right.
Calm down there.
Okay, wait, hear me out. Hear me out. Hold on.
All right,
So
go for
I
it.
did
Yeah,
actually-
that's fine.
I did actually watch your interview with Aframu as well, and
Yeah.
there's a few points with that as well that I wanted to bring up, along with the heist. I had a chance to watch that and get a bit of Amazing's point of view, I guess you can say. So I guess I could start with saying the Aframo and Amazing synergy is pretty good. I think that's what I was understanding and what I was watching. I think if they're on the same page, along with the rest of the team, obviously, I think it's really good and it's going to help the team in general. But Amazing was saying on the highs that along like with Bang specifically, he felt, and this is I don't want to quote, it's not word for word, but basically saying that Bang was afraid to punish mistakes that the teams were making, specifically Echo Fox, and that Amazing had to basically tell him like this is Echo Fox. You know, if they're making a mistake, you have to punish them, and not to be basically as scared as I guess he was, and I think it showed. I think that he has been playing a lot better. Not that he was playing bad necessarily, but I think that he's just been going all out more than previously. So that was the first thing that I had noticed, along with Ryu stepping up in the mid lane. I think that he's a big factor to 100 Thieves' success as well, just being really good in the mid lane.
Mm.
He's standing his own versus really good mid laners along with C9, right? And I think that one more thing. Hold on, I wrote it here. Hold on a sec. Okay,
I
yeah,
really
we can
love
start
it
with
when
that.
you guys
We can
have
start with
notes
that.
in front of you. I think it's actually really impressive, but it's like, let me review my notes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, I
what's
just
the
wanted
last
to make
thing?
sure I was getting everything.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, I could stop with that, and I'll just say my last thing after.
Sure. Okay. All
I'll
right.
let Stixxay go first. Have you been scrimming them? What do you think about 100 Thieves?
We do scrim them quite a bit, but it was like when they're going through a lot of changes with their rosters and stuff, so it was really hard to get a read on how good they were going to be. But all I detected was there's a lot of mental boom going on. Hopefully that looks like it's fixed. I think they're playing like much better, whereas before it was like they weren't even playing like a team at all. So past 3 games they're playing a lot better and they started winning. So
That is a
Did you
great
ever-
analysis. You're like, the past 3 games they've been playing a lot better and they started winning. It's like it really hodes in on.
well,
the
you know, it's
topics
like they just started playing like a team more. They're
Yeah.
actually able to. I don't know if they really get leads, but I would say specifically like their jungle and bottom lane have been playing really well. So
I think, there was an analysis, and they were saying they were mental boom before. It wasn't like this team sucks and they can't compete. It was like,
yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And that's the whole thing. Is I really think that the jungle and bot lane have been performing well. I think that Amazing has stated too that he thinks that him and Afro really work well together. And now that Bang is stepping into it a bit more, I think it's going a lot better. And I also watched your interview, and you had asked Afromu if what he thought about everybody and how. And he replied to you saying that he doesn't think all teams are basically far apart. Like no team can basically 1v9 anymore. It's more of a synergy thing, and if the team meshes well. And I think that if they do start to pick it up and they start meshing really well, especially with Fake God, his performance wasn't like insanely great, but I do think that he can step it up. And if they do, this is where I think that they can push it. I said top 4, and then I thought about GGS as well. I don't want to go too far into that, but like I do believe that they could push it. I do truly do.
yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the potential playoff push. Top 4 is a little crazy because it feels pretty stacked right now. You have
Yeah.
obviously the top 3 from spring, who are largely still pretty good. I mean, TSM is a little weird right now.
Mhm.
CLG is doing way better. Optics doing way better. Golden Guardian seems just about the same level. Clutch has been doing better, and now 100 Thieves is doing better too. It's like two
Yeah,
of those
that's-
teams aren't making it. That's 8 teams.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. There's a lot
you
of
think-
teams in the middle of the pack that are doing really well right now.
By the way, Mark, you think Golden Guardians is just doing this as well? I think they're doing better than last split. No?
They're only 4-4.
they have gone 0-3 their past 2 games.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's true. It's just I've talked to so many players who say that they feel like Golden Guardians is really good to split. Although the 0-3 I guess does do that. I also like, by the way, caller Tango Tamer, that you're like, we're talking to Stixxay and you're like, I think they're gonna get top 4, and then you're like, but wait, I thought about Golden Guardians. So where are you placing CLG in this theoretical lineup?
You know what? CLG, along with I'm very surprised with Optic. I think that you guys are both doing really good. I think CLG has the potential as well to be up there. Like all those teams in the middle of the pack is actually really hard to say.
Yeah.
Even Optic, I was surprised. Well, not surprised. It's just they filled in Scarlet to go versus TSM and they won. Scarlet really performed well. So like I don't want to go too much into that topic, but I was just surprised. So I really don't know. I'm sure the 4th team, it could be anyone in the middle of the pack. CLG for sure. GGS was just the first team that came to my head, but
Sure. Good save. Good job.
Well, Stixxay, have you ever been on a team that was like 100 Thieves, where like they were just inactive and completely mental boomed? Because what I remember of CLG when they were struggling, a lot of the times it was like they would get early leads and then throw. So I don't know. Have you ever been in a situation like what looked like was wrong with 100 Thieves?
I don't know. I don't think my situation was ever that bad because usually, I mean, for example, last split, it was like, I think we started off our first scrim week going like 5 wins and like 35 losses. And I would say that's how most of our week went. It was like we would just have 0-6 days constantly in scrims. But by the time the weekend came, we would usually be able to pull at least like a 1-1 or, you know, the occasional 2-0, so I haven't had a team that's just full mental boom where it's just like you get on stage and it's still, you have no idea what's going on. It was just like primarily in scrims, and then, you know, at least we were doing okay on stage.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I guess the final verdict here. I know you backed out on it, Tango, but is there a world where 100 Thieves finishes top 4 this split?
you know what? I'll stick to it because I will be that guy who
Predict.
will be
Yes, I
remembered
know.
that
That's
day.
what
Exactly.
all of you guys do. You call it with the hot take, and then if it doesn't happen, everybody forgets. And then if it does, you're like, I want everyone to know I called in on June
Exactly.
24th.
Tango,
It's a win-win. It's a win-win either way.
you gotta call the other 3 top teams. Is it TSM, TL, and C9, or CLG in that top 4?
Nah, here, I'll do this. It'll be TL, C9, CLG, 100 Thieves. TSM's not even going to make the
Oh, okay.
That's what I like
got
to
you.
hear.
I got
Wait,
you.
you said they're not even making playoffs?
They're not making top 4, I said. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so Mark, ignoring the CLG thing, is 100 Thieves going to be a top 4 team by the end of the split?
No.
Stixxay.
Seems unlikely.
Okay. Save.
60 is like an 8 ball.
Yeah, no, I was trying to think of the 8-ball response.
Rest in peace.
Try
TSM
again
back
later.
after-
That was close.
I don't think they're going to be a top 4 team. I am happy to see that they're starting to win. All the memes of like they visited orphanage. It was so sad to see the sad looks on their faces. Said Timmy, age 11. I like that. Those can no longer. It's good. It's good that 100 Thieves is not in that place anymore. Either way, thanks so much, Tango, for calling in.
No problem. Have a good one, guys.
Have a good one.
See it.
All right, on to the next caller. We got some good calls tonight. I'm vibing this episode. Voyu1 for the 18 months, a year and a half. Thank you for being a sub for a year and a half. Exogen Chan for 10 months. LOL Bulbasaur for 15. And let's see, where are we? Mikey Steves for 9 months. We could have had a kid. Kiwi Mullet Boy at 19 months. We're getting up there. Night Dive for the Prime. And Caruze 44 for 6 months. We got Rico Suave on. Rico Suave, who helped me very briefly troubleshoot some audio issues earlier. Thank you for that, Rico. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York City.
Yeah, I knew that. I just wanted to ask anyway. How's New York?
We spoke about this earlier.
Well, if we weren't on stream, the podcast people won't know.
Oh, okay. Well, it's very hot now.
Great. Let's just get into the call. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
What I want to talk about is
Rico?
Hello?
Hi.
Hello? Oh my God!
I heard you
mic.
say what I want to talk about is, and then you cut out.
Oh, I thought that was just on my end.
No.
Oh, it's this mic. It sucks. So I want to talk about is
Did you
hello.
do it again?
Wait, are you
Jesus
trolling?
Christ. I'm
Please,
not
just say
trolling.
it.
Troll.
What is it? Just quickly tell me.
All right, I want to talk about Weldon's coaching style.
Weldon's coaching style. What about it?
Yes. How oh!
Jesus Christ.
Okay, one more time, and then if not, you type it out. What about Weldon's coaching style?
How much does it contribute to CLG's winning?
Okay. How much does Weldon's coaching style contribute to CLG's winning? The great thing about this Stixxay is, there's no way you could say like, well, it doesn't contribute much, because then I think Weldon is the type of person where if we've said his name, he will now find this content in the next 2 hours.
How much
and
did
watch
Weldon
it.
pay you, Rico?
Yeah. It might be not be Weldon, or it might be an enemy. He's hoping that you'll say it doesn't contribute much.
For people who don't know, can you also say what is Weldon's coaching style? Like, he has a sports psychologist
It's
background.
very
so I assume he
touchy-feely is what I've
focuses.
heard.
I assume he focuses more on mentality than anything.
Hello. So what I think is he has a like.
Oh, I was
Stick
asking Stixxay.
style. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Stixxay, how would you describe Weldon's? This is the best color. Stixxay, how would you describe Weldon's coaching style?
Weldon's coaching style. Let me think. So, he's definitely the, I would say more mentality type of coach, and just in general tries to get into the player's brain and understand what they're thinking, while also giving his input on how he thinks a player should think. I can give, for example, like last split when I was benched, he essentially explained to me like, you should view the split as 10 weeks where you just all in and you put everything in league, and you try your hardest and see what you get out of it, right? And it kind of changed my mindset, because the actual reason I got benched a while ago was actually I just didn't play enough solo queue, and my reasoning was like, if I play too much solo queue, I'm in NA, it feels not super helpful for me outside of mechanics, and I feel like I get more burnt out playing solo queue rather than if I were just play like a few games a day and then sleep earlier, get more sleep, and then be well rested for scrims and stuff like that. And this split, I started just putting a lot more time into the game, playing a lot more solo queue and stuff like that. So he just kind of gave me like a, hey, you should try to think this way as a professional player. You have 10 weeks to do this, and just try to do it, and just try to change the way you've approached the split, since that's how I approached every other split as well. And before I had success, but.
How much value? I know you're saying you're spending more time on it. How much value do you put on solo queue? Because there's like the Korean mindset, which is like it's the most important thing in the world almost, and then there's the NA mindset, which is generally the opposite end of the spectrum, at least on a competitive scale. So like, where do you land on that?
I mean, I view solo queue as I still view it the same way, where I feel like solo queue is the lowest way to put in effort as a pro player. Obviously, while I think it's necessary, I think people who just play 24/7 solo queue, it's not super beneficial, especially in North America, where it's just a lot of random games and bad habits that you do to win the game. Where, for example, when I was playing in Korea, it was actually like competitive games that were pretty like I don't know, like action packed and like actually made me think all the time. Whereas in NA, it's like a lot of times I'm just sitting there AFK, like, what are we doing, guys? So I do think it's necessary for mechanics, but outside of that, it's not super helpful. I'd rather watch VODs or do other stuff league related to improve.
So back to the main question, which is how much does Weldon's coaching style contribute to the team's success? And I know that obviously you're like, okay, well, he's my coach, I'm going to say a ton, but obviously there's also the talent of the players. Rune coming in undoubtedly has contributed to the success, and the communication style changes. So, yeah, Irene. So, given all that, what areas would you say he helps lead the team?
Well, he definitely helps us a lot with our structure. In terms of obviously like scheduling and stuff like that. He just keeps everyone on track, and say we have like a bad game of scrims, he'll try to remind us like, hey guys, make sure we keep this up so we can have better practice. Or say we're scrimming like a bad team where we're kind of just rolling over them by winning all of our lanes or something. He'll be like, oh, maybe we can practice this. So he tries to think really logical about what we can do in any given situation to improve as a team. So
Gotcha. So it's sort of like the structure, the foundation, all that stuff for which you guys practice with, or how you guys practice.
yeah, pretty much. And I think like there's a lot of situations where I can give another examples like where players like, oh, I got cheesed here in a scrim, and Weldon would be like, actually no, like he did this because of this. And he tries to give you like a logical explanation for things rather than just he doesn't really let players make excuses, I'd say.
Mm.
And he tries to just have reasoning for everything.
Gotcha.
With regards to like pick ban, how influential is the coaching staff? Some teams are more player driven, some are more coaching staff driven, because it feels like you guys have landed mostly on a style of like more aggressive bot lanes, scaling mid, whatever Rune wants to play to try and get a good match up top, and then Wiggly's on like tank duty. Is that something that you guys have kind of, as players, agreed this is the best way our team works? This is something that kind of came from top down. Like, how'd that all work out?
I don't think we have like a style we really go for. It's just kind of how it ended up. It's kind of just like a mix. Players give input, coaches give input. I think one thing we could do better is probably coaches have a little more input on draft stuff, because I think usually the players get what they want in most cases. But yeah, it's definitely different from other coaching styles I've had. I think other coaching styles was definitely more coaches, you're going to play this because this is what's best for the team. Luckily, our team has really open-minded players, so people are willing to sacrifice and stuff like that.
I was about to say, I can't believe Wiggly's like, yeah, dude, give me Trundle again.
Actually, he's a really selfless person, but
oh, okay.
yeah, I think everyone on our team is pretty open-minded and down to try other stuff for the sake of if someone wants to try a new champion, where everyone's down for it, stuff like that. But it's definitely like player-driven for what champions we get.
Yeah. Well, hey Rico, hopefully that answers your question. I'm going to give you this one little window to shout something out if your microphone works.
Alright, I hope NA top laners smash.
NA top laner smash. Do you mean at Rift Rivals?
Yes, smash Whippo.
Smash Bwippo. Okay, there we go.
Oh, specifically Bwippo. Okay.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks, Rico.
It's funny that you cut out there because it also was a fine sentence as
Yes.
as is.
Yeah.
Just in general,
Yeah, you
we
just
want
want them to
NA
smash.
top
Yeah.
laners to smash.
Yeah.
It's a good point. All right, on to the next caller. We should be grabbing them.
All right.
Actually, Mark. Wait.
I think it was
Actually, Mark. I want to take a break. I looked
That's
at the
what I
time.
thought. That's why I was waiting, and then
Yeah.
you're like next
Well,
call.
I rely on you to point out the time, as my co-producer.
What do you do? I get the people. I have to point out the time. I
I
show
book
up.
the guests.
I show up.
I book the guests and I reschedule whenever you are busy.
Hey, I reschedule when you're busy too.
You know what, Mark? Despite my frustration with you, am really looking to this Friday where we're going to have a live Hotline League happening in LA, just nearby the Riot Games studios. And that's all going to be made possible by our sponsor for this episode and all of our episodes, Alienware. Alienware, that's right, this weekend, Alienware, if you don't have tickets to Rift Rivals and you want to go, you want to experience the Rift Rivals energy, go to Alienware's Twitter account right now, twitter.com/Alienware. Right now, as we speak, the tweet is pinned up at the top. And you'll see they're running the Alienware Outpost. They've brought this to other events in the past, but it will be at Rift Rivals. And so on Friday and Saturday, not on Thursday, but Friday and Saturday, you can go watch the games they're going to have a viewing party. They've got a live stream of it, open air patios, drinks, food, alcohol, pro view screens. Honestly, it's going to be kind of a better experience than watching at the studio itself. I might try to sneak over to this, but either way, that's happening. So, and it's free entry. You have to pay to go to the LCS. I'm noticing a trend here, and it's a 5-minute walk from the LCS arena, so it's pretty awesome. It opens at 11:30 a.m. But the big thing is, and by the way, isn't it cool that Alienware's doing this? I mean, I think Rift Rivals, this really fun event, same amount of seats as normal, but now you've got this viewing party that's taking place nearby, so you can still enjoy it. But the highlight of the Alienware Outpost, if I do say so myself, is this Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be doing Hotline League live. So if you don't live in LA, or you can't make it out to this, or both. Be sure to tune in. It's going to be on my channel and the Alienware channel. Feel free to watch on this one. And and Mark and myself will be joined by special guests to be decided. So after you watch all the action on Friday, you can watch Hotline League live. We'll have an audience. We've done multiple of these so far. Mark and I absolutely love them. It's so fun seeing everybody come out. Some of the pro players drink and then go up on stage and say interesting things. And everyone's excited. Stixxay, you're invited. Are you going to attend?
You're gonna be, yeah, right?
Come to Hotline League live.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
I think I have scrims.
It's at 8 p.m.
I'll have to check my calendar, actually. Sometimes we have third blocks.
I can get you on the VIP.
This is
list.
also, to add on to the Weldon's coaching style. Man, there's no off time.
All right. Well.
Oh,
tell
yeah.
Weldon, actually,
Looks like I'm off.
I'll put Weldon on the VIP list, and he can come out too, and he can drink. You guys can all have a good time. It's a great way to relax.
Okay.
That's
I
good.
think-
Can I invite my team?
Actually, here's
Yeah.
yes, you can invite
Okay.
your team. Just let me know
Oh,
so
that's
that I
good.
can put them on the list. The
Okay,
other
okay.
thing is, tell Weldon that we'll let him on the show, because I know Weldon, and the
Oh.
moment I say, Weldon, you can get in front of this camera, he will cancel scrims and he'll make sure that he comes over. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so so feel free. Stixxay, Weldon, all of CLG are probably going to be there. So be sure to tune in to Hotline League live 8 p.m. this Friday, or come over to the Alienware Outpost. Thanks so much to Alienware for putting this together and making things like this happen. Really appreciate it. Moving on from the break, Mark's going to go grab somebody else. Oh, by the way, you can check out alienware.com/Travis and use Travis 10 off if you feel like getting something. All right. Anyway, how are you doing, Stixxay?
I'm doing pretty well. I might actually go check out that website.
Yes.
What was it? Alienware.com/Travis?
Yeah. Well, yes. You don't want to check it out, Stixxay, because you have a competing sponsor.
Yeah. No, I'm just seeing how much better ours are.
Okay. Well, now I don't want you to do that because now you're on my show. Let's just move on.
Oh, okay.
LOL Bulbasaur for 15 months in a row. Mikey Steves for 9 months in a row. Kiwi Mullet Boy for 19 months. And Night Dive for Prime. Oh, I think I already said those, but it's okay. You got a double shout out. How am I supposed to say your name?
It's Dopest.
Dopest.
Sorry, I use
For
weird
anyone
characters.
that nobody can see, the Discord chat right now, but Dopest he's got like all these weird symbols and stuff that spells out his name. He's one of those.
It's like a thing in one of my
Leet speak,
discords.
dude.
One of the thing one of my discords where we all just tried to spell our names with
Are
the
you a
weirdest
hacker?
characters we could find.
'Cause I hear hackers use like weird symbols and stuff all the time in their names.
I am a software developer, but
You're
I'm
a
not
software
hacker.
developer? Okay. And so
Yeah.
in your free time you are a hacker.
Sure, why not?
Okay. Yes. Hackers are very frustrating. Anyway, what do you want, or where are you calling from?
Boise, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
How are the potatoes?
They're great. We actually have this local pizza place called Pie Hole. I don't know if it's actually local. It's probably other ones, but they have like this pizza called potato bacon pizza, and it's really good. One of my favorites. Really
We
good
have
when
a
you're
pie
drunk.
hole in LA, but I don't know if it's the same as the pie hole out there. Anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
Okay, I just want to talk about how I think that LCS will be top 2 or possibly the best region next year due to the competitiveness of what I believe will be the top 6 teams in the LCS.
Sorry, NA will be the best region next year?
It will either be top 2 or the best region in the world next year.
Okay.
So
Well, are we not already? Did you see MSI finals?
Yeah, and I don't think we're quite there yet. We're on our way.
Okay. All right.
Stixxay, are you excited to play in the best region in the world next year?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't know this was coming, but yeah, let's go. I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. All right. So why is it going to be the top 2 region next year?
Okay. So basically, I think that when you look at a lot of different regions around the world, there's the top ones obviously are LCK, LPL, and LEC. And I think that all of the regions right now, except maybe LCK, are stronger than LCS. But I think that they're stronger in one particular style. Like with EU, I think that a lot of teams are trying to conform to G's 2 style and kind of emulate them for the most part. at least the ones that are having success. And then when you go to LPL, you have a similar thing where I think everyone is trying to replicate what IG did at Worlds last year, and even for the beginning part of MSI, where they're really focusing on that aggressive style and basically just fighting as they always have, but they're just refining that and are really branching out. And then LCK is really trying to learn to be aggressive, but they're mostly failing, it seems, with it, maybe Griffin being an outlier, but they're having a tough time maybe like actually buckling down and refining like how to have like maybe the confidence like when it comes down to all the finals that they've been able to get to and end up just choking in the end. So I think that all these regions are developing these really focused styles that they'll all be good at. But I think NA will be strong because I think that based on what we've been seeing in LCS and where the rosters could go next year, that we'll have a lot of different teams with a lot of different styles, all being very competitive with each other. And this will allow the 3 representatives that we send to Worlds or the representative we send to MSI, which will probably be Team Liquid again, be refined in a different way, where they'll be able to experience all these different types of teams, and these different styles will allow them to adapt even better to Worlds and be used to a lot of different things, and hopefully bring a lot of different stuff. Because I don't know if we'll ever be truly competitive on maybe a pure mechanical level, like with some LPL or teams or G2. But as we saw in like the wins that TL was able to get against like G2, I think that we're definitely maybe like more they're at least like more structured and focused, and in the future, like as they keep growing and as other teams like TSM or CLG or other ones that maybe get to go to Worlds in the future, Immortals that are coming in, they'll all be really strong teams.
Okay, so Mark, how much you buying this narrative?
I'm closing the door in the evangelical's face. I'm saying as he's trying to tell me about our Lord and Savior NA. Just thanks. Not
Yikes.
buying. I think NA has been doing great. I love the uptick in our performance. I still think China's better. I think Europe's better. You know, if you're telling me we're the 3rd best region in the world, I'll take that from 4th/5th, which we kind of were the last 2 years when we were fighting Flash Wolves. You know, that's still a great improvement, but we don't need to oversell, you know, what we are. And so, I mean, I agree on some level about LCK seems a little lost. They do have teams that try to play aggressive. Like, I don't think it's just Griffin. Sandbox seems to be able to play pretty aggressively as well with most of their drafts. So I think they have multiple teams that do it, but they haven't reached the international stage yet. So we keep seeing the same Korean teams outside maybe, you know, Kingzone. Am I thinking the right team, Kingzone? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But like that's like until we see their actual really aggressive teams make the world stage, I think it is fair to kind of say like the teams that we have been seeing have not adapted super well. But like if we're gonna be honest, I thought SKT put up a better fight.
SKT is also like 1-6 right now, though, right?
Oh, Mark, did we lose Mark?
Oop.
All the rest of us are here. Okay. Mark, welcome back.
I don't know what the fuck just happened.
Your internet hooked up. It's the internet service in our area apparently just hooks up.
Thanks.
So you were saying, SKT.
I was saying that Korea is not that far behind us in general. I'm eager to see what happens when their actually aggressive teams make it to international competition, because they could leapfrog back over us. Either way, I don't think we're going to develop like a million styles. Like TL is different than C9, but TSM was pretty similar to C9 in spring. So I don't know. I'm not buying that just by having more styles, we're suddenly going to be better than all these other regions.
Yeah. Stixxay.
I didn't know people discredited LCK so much nowadays. Like, I know that they definitely, you know, aren't viewed as highly as before, but I still think they're a really good region. But yeah, I'm on the same wavelength with Mark. I think that's really unlikely that NA is going to be the best region. I think we need a few more years.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair for people to discredit Korea? Because the argument for it is that they haven't made a finals at any international competition, and they've been outplaced by Korea, NA, and EU for the past 2 international events.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it statistically, it makes sense. But I think when you're like giving it the eye test, I think Korea almost always looks pretty good. Like Mark said, like in the G2 semifinals versus SKT definitely put up a really close fight. It went to game 5, and they kind of threw on like this one Baron call. I think they were behind before, but but it was definitely closer than TL was. But yeah, I think just by the eye test, Korea always looks pretty good.
Yeah, okay. One, I do think that North America has been getting better, and we've shown that. I think the scary thing is, it would be we jumping the gun a little bit to be like, well, we've been doing great, and now it's gonna all come home because as much as you can sort of theorize about the top teams in North America looking good, we don't know what's gonna happen across the rest of the world. And honestly, G2 looks scary as hell. I don't know. I can't. It's hard for me to imagine a world where LPL falls behind. I feel like it's crazy that LCK has, and so also betting against LPL is maybe spooky. But is there a world where top 4 at Worlds could be like an LCK team, an NA team, an EU team, and an LPL team this year? I think that's possible. It might be CLG.
Maybe as like a small retort to that, I was like thinking about how like what we've seen from the different regions and maybe expanding on how I came to maybe this conclusion. And granted, maybe we're not like the best. Like I said, it could be maybe second best, but I think like in terms of EU, this isn't necessarily as true because we've been seeing Fnatic pop off. But for a while, like G2 was like EU, and then there was like G2, and it looks like Fnatic's trying to adapt and do that style, so maybe that won't be the same, and maybe EU will maybe be the best region next year. But it seems like outside of IG, LPL's been kind of choking in terms of their other teams when it comes to international competition, falling apart because of their maybe aggressive style where they don't think as much about the meta stuff. And maybe you're right about LCK. We haven't seen them in a bit, but I think like I think at least like NA in terms of their really top teams, like TL for sure is like as good, if not better, than a majority of what at least I've seen watching all of LCK this split so far. And
Yeah.
and I'm also making the assumption that maybe like some teams like Immortals coming in, if they get like a good top laner to replace Dokla, then I think like that team could definitely be probably one of the top 3 that could go to Worlds with Crown and do some good stuff alongside, Core JJ bringing that brain with the mechanical prowess of a lot of TL players, maybe C9 or TSM, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean maybe we'll see. And if it goes well, then obviously you have this clip to prove it. Anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller, Dopest?
No. Shout out to my boys Casey and Brian if they ever watch this. Shout out to Boise. It's a great place to live. It's cool here. BSU is a great school.
Well,
That's
thank you
about
for
it.
calling in.
Have a good day, guys.
Yeah.
See.
Peace.
All right. We got about 4 more callers to go in the second half of the show here. I want to continue to give some shout outs. Ferks19, Tinbuster, Liari, The Grey Claw, Nanuko for 10 months, Scanner, Rebelcom, MJ for 2 months, Quiet Pirate for 11, Ferks who sent 500 bits, and Mac Daddy with the $2. Thank you so much. Merks is here. Merks, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Nelson, New Zealand.
From New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What do you want to talk about in the show tonight?
So with the changes to crypt-based marksman, I think that we'll be seeing a lot of level 1, but we'll see more level 1 lane swapping coming back into the meta because teams are wanting to play more aggressive and get to their late game quicker.
Interesting. Okay, so this is outside of my wheelhouse. I think it's going to be a Stixxay topic. Stixxay, what do you think?
What are the changes? I don't know either.
Merch, do you have them in front of you?
I'm
or
just,
Mark, do you know?
I don't have the patch notes up, but the previous changes before the season began, when the crits started to come back in.
Well, so crit wasn't actually buffed. I mean, there was the Essence Reaver revert, but I think that was a little while ago. What
Okay.
happened was Ginsu's was nerfed, and so things like Kaisa and Varus and stuff just kind of got weaker, and there was also Yumi being introduced, and people already kind of playing Sonateric, and so I think the bot lane meta just kind of evolved with those nerfs to start favoring things like Xayah and Sivir more and more.
Yeah.
As well as Rakan got a buff and some small stuff all kind of crit marksmen are significantly stronger, and I don't know if there's any plans to buff them in the short term. I know like Caitlyn got a really small buff just now, but she was already getting played, so I don't know. Stixxay, is anyone lane swapping in scrims? Or is that more of a leak?
No, definitely not leaking anything. I think it's really unlikely that lane swaps will come back anytime soon. I think the pace of the game is too fast right now and relies a lot. Actually, I guess in NA it's a little different since a lot of games go to like 40 minutes lately. But
It's just TSM.
well, actually, the average game time has gone up like every week of LCS. It goes up and up and up. Maybe that's because the teams get better. But I just think whoever goes top in the lane swap scenario is going to have a turret that's harder to take down, and I feel like the team that's taking the bottom tower will take it way faster and just have a lot more gold to use, which allows them to snowball easier. So I think it's like really unlikely that lane swaps are going to happen anytime.
It couldn't also with how turret plating works, it's basically impossible to 4-man push a turret down through the first wave of minions, but you can grab 3 turret plates. So it seems like even if someone did swap on you, you would just grab the turret plates, back off, do it again, and push before they could ever take your top one. So then you would just go top and lane.
Yeah, I feel like you just can do anything before they take the top tower. You could probably just, I don't know, probably take mid plates, bot plates before they even take the top tower.
Oh, does mid not have the fortification on it?
No, it does, and it's just I'm saying that's how long
yeah.
top would take. It's just so slow.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think lane swaps are going to be coming back anytime soon. I think the kind of funneling stuff is the weirdest shit you're going to see, because I heard teams were practicing funnel a little bit in scrims.
Yeah. I was just thinking because Elisa's coming back into the... Well, it seems to be coming back into the middle with her buffs, as well as the zoning CC supports, not so much the tank supports being there so much. And with the nerfs to Ginsu's, we'd see like Callista, Caitlyn, Trist coming back into the meta more.
Yeah, I think it's just you lose too much, even if you are getting a crit marksman to their items faster.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's too hard.
Hey, Mercs, thanks so much for calling in. Anything you want to say? Any shout outs from New Zealand?
Hopefully I get to see more of Lost? And FBI.
Oh, I like Apollo a lot too. I like Lost, but I understand why you'd be rooting for him. That would be nice. Mercs, thank you for being a Twitch sub, by the way. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you guys. Awesome.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day.
You too.
All right. About 3 more callers to go. Let's see. We got Divide NZL for 15 months. He says Optic top 4. That's the prediction. And then Dalta has sent a Prime sub. Thank you so much.
All right, this guy I didn't pull.
What?
Travis pulled.
I don't remember pulling anyone.
Okay, well, here we go.
Sergeant Muffinhammer, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from College Park, Maryland.
College Park, Maryland. You seem like such a nice guy. I don't know why Mark has a beef with you. That's kind of weird. Thank you for being a Twitch sub. What do you want to talk about in the show?
I wanted to talk about how if it wasn't for specifically you during the Yahoo Esports era and other interviewers at the time, I probably would not have been able to stay interested in LCS. And also, I think that if you were to ever leave the LCS scene, that a large portion of its viewership would drop.
Wow. Mark, are you sure you didn't pull this? Because I don't remember pulling this.
Yeah, if the quote was in the subtopics, if it weren't for Travis and other interviewers, the professional league scene would have died years ago. And if Travis ever left the LCS, it would have drastically less viewers. Stixxay, do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Travis is the best content producer in esports.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel uncomfortable handling this call. So maybe Sergeant Muffinhammer, you can expand or explain a little bit, and then I'll let Mark moderate it.
Okay, to be fair, the way I said it when I was putting the topic out there, I tried to make it more extreme so I'd get
Yeah,
pulled
of
in.
course.
But so I started watching back in season 5, and not to like flame anybody that was on there, I didn't necessarily think the like actual casting or like the desk was nearly as good as some of the other content that was available on like YouTube or other websites. And so I just started playing back then. I'd been playing for probably about 3 or 4 months when I started actually watching LCS. So I really could not actually keep up with what was going on in the games. And like, I don't know, watching things like League Weekly and all that kind of stuff just helped me to understand it more.
Did you
And I
ever
think that's probably the case with a lot of.
Did you ever watch a show called The Blame Game?
Yes, I did. I thought it was good. I wish you'd put out more of them.
All right, yeah. Without Travis, we would lose roughly 100 or 851 Twitch viewers. It would be a catastrophic loss
Hey,
if Travis were to leave us.
my interviews get viewed by a shit ton of people. Thank you very much. Actually, we could compare some of my content to some of the stuff that's on the LOL Esports YouTube channel, and we'll see how well it's doing. You know, like some of
All
the
right,
stuff.
I'm going to the dive.
We don't have to go to the dive, all right? I'm
Why
just
not
saying.
the dive? It's the best comparison. They're both podcasts, technically.
Like, okay, Sober History with Dash, 13K views, all right?
It was up 8 hours ago. The YouTube channel is now.
Freak Show, 46K views. Golden Guardians on the Rise, 29K views, all right? You go to my channel, the interviews last week did kind of poorly, but you got shit like 100,000 views, all right? Look at that double lift interview from the start of the split, all right? That shit's sitting at 130K. All right, my channel, and by the way, I just want to point out the LOL Esports channel, 3 million subs. The Travis Gafford channel, like 175. So I'm batting way above my weight on this shit, you know.
No. LOL Esports is batting way below because the channel has literally everything on there. Okay? This or that, 140K.
Yeah, I don't really, this or that is just kind of, this or that is not really good programming, so.
I'll tell you what's not good programming. Between Two Iverns. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
That was something.
Yeah. All right, Stixxay, do you want to chime in on any of this stuff?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, Sergeant Muffinhammer, I want to thank you so much for calling to the show. A really great take. I would have. I appreciate Mark pulling it. Is there anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
I just want to shout out the University of Maryland League of Legends team, and I hope that they finally make it back to the actual tournament again next year.
Nice. Well, hey, thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, thanks. Anytime.
Have a good one. Yes, and we'll have you back on the show again in the future, many times. Thank you. All right, move it on to the next caller. I was going to read some subs, but there aren't any, so I guess we'll just sit here. Oh, Ham is here.
Hello.
Ham, where are you
Hello.
calling from?
I'm calling from Menlo Park, California.
Menlo Park?
Yes.
That's not too far from here, right?
Well, it's in NorCal, so it's near San Francisco.
Oh, for some reason, there's another thing that sounds kind of like Menlo Park that's in like the LA, San Diego area. All right, well, anyway, thank you for calling in as another Californian. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
Sure. My very controversial hot take is that CLG in their play style is very predictable, and that's abusable by enemy teams.
Why are they
That's why.
predictable?
So, okay, full disclosure, this was a bit dated because the last time I did an intense look at this, it was the first week of June, and the playstyle has changed a little bit. But I was just watching another game from last weekend, and I noticed some. I mean, let me pull up my notes for this segment here.
Another notes.
Yeah,
Another
so I
good
actually do these. I make these scouting reports for a certain LCS team, and I give it to them every week.
Do they pay you
That's
for
why I make
this?
these. They don't pay me. I'm
Oh, okay,
volunteer.
okay. Then feel free. I feel like if you're getting paid, then you should keep this secret. But if a
No,
team is,
absolutely not.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I'm a volunteer. But no, anyways. So there's some, of course, these are not hard rules. And Stixxay, you can totally say oh, this is bullshit. You know.
okay, just
but,
hit us with them.
All right. So the first thing is Ruin. Whenever he's trying to set up a gank, he generally speaking tries to pull the wave to the tower. Lane matchup dependent. Sometimes he doesn't do that. Like sometimes he pushes instead. But generally speaking, when Wiggly is coming top for a gank, Ruin pulls the wave. And it's actually the opposite on the bot side. When they're trying to set up a play, bot side either a dive or some kind of fight, Stixxay and Biofrost tend to push the wave, and they pull the wave when the jungler is on the other side. So from just watching, like if you just watched Fog, if you're the enemy team, it'd be really easy to kind of identify where like the jungler is and what they're kind of like if you're looking ahead like 20 seconds, what they're going to try and do. So that's my hot take.
Exposed, Stixxay.
Damn, they got me.
Now you can fix your problems.
God.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to move. I don't know if I had stock in CLG right now in the LCS stock market, I would sell, because Hotline League just out.
The ONA is coming.
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, Stixxay.
Well, in my opinion, I think that those things are due to the nature of how the lanes work. Top lane is more isolated, whereas bot lane there's two people and you're typically looking to dive when you're pushing like that. And I do think that most teams will play like this. I don't think this is like CLG specific. I think this is just like League of Legends specific.
Do you think you've noticed other people playing like that, or like when you're in game, do you notice this as well, or do you think this is just kind of like so generic that you don't actually see like, oh, bot lane is pushing, jungler's probably down here, top lane you're probably fine, or is it not register?
It's definitely just. I mean, I don't know. In my head, that's just how League is. Like, I can usually tell based off of the wave where the enemy jungler is. Obviously, there's going to be like cheese routes or like ways that they can get behind you or something like that. But for the most part, it's just basic League, and most pro teams are going to know where the jungler is in most cases, anyways. So.
Yeah. No. So granted, there's a certain level. Of course, it's like forehead. Here, the jungler is top. Blah blah blah. But I've noticed this in multiple iterations that there seems to be very specific timings where like Ruin is specifically, like he's calling for a gank or something like that, and then he sets it up in a very specific way where he slowly pulls the wave to the tower. And I mean, it's just small instances like this, kind of like if you don't know it before. I feel like these are valuable tidbits of information.
Do you feel like other teams don't do this type of stuff, Ham?
Yeah. So I've watched like maybe like 5 teams or so, like really intensely. And granted, every team kind of, I mean, there's some general, like Stixxay was saying, like ways, like just how you just play the game, right? But other teams do different things, when they're trying to set up. Like every player has different patterns. I can't remember any specific top laners off the top of my head, but some top laners, for example, they prefer to push and then dive, and instead of pulling and then trying to set up a fight in the middle of the wave or the middle of the lane. And there's like different points in the lane where they like to keep the wave if they're trying to do a play or something like that. But again, these are very generic kind of trends I noticed. But
Yeah, I think the thing that I would be curious about would be like, is this noticeable in specific situations? Because general is hard to say, because it could be like, well, he does it in lanes where he can't always push, and so he doesn't feel confident in being able to go forward. Maybe it's when he doesn't have forward vision already that he doesn't want to try and push and set up a gank when he doesn't have vision established or something. Like, these are the kinds of things that I would wonder about, because pulling when in an obvious, like Stixxay was saying, it might be obvious that like your jungler's top when you pull the wave, and if it's obvious, it's still technically effective because he knows that your jungler's up there and he can't really approach that wave, and so you're zoning him off potentially XP and farm, even if it is telegraphed, because now your jungler doesn't even need to go up there and you're kind of getting something out of it.
Yeah. So I mean, in continuing this vein, is predictability or kind of unpredictability, is that something that you guys as a pro team like focus on practicing? Like being like, oh, like we have specific strategies that like, and every week you try and change it up to keep ahead of the curve or keep other teams off their understanding of how you operate as a team?
Well, I definitely think we're one of the more standard teams in the league. So, you know, us maybe compared to, I don't know, who's like the biggest wildcard team in LCS.
Clutch probably right
Yeah,
now.
I was thinking Clutch, but I guess maybe Clutch would do things that aren't as similar as us because they just play a lot differently. But in terms of us, I feel like we're pretty standard, similar to like TSM. They're very standard as well, and it's one of the situations where it's like, hey, yeah, we're pulling the wave, but you know what's the downside of this? What can they really get by knowing their junglers here, stuff like that. I don't think it's super abusable.
That's why there is often like a standard and predictable way to play, is because it will generally field the best results. Like, I know when I see teams play Pike and they play standard, I get mad because it's like you need to do weird shit and force skirmishes and all this stuff with Pike. But if you're playing Aatrox top and you pull the wave, like, fuck yeah, that's great. Now the guy's not going to approach the wave because you don't actually need to kill him to use the pick effectively. You can just get leads on Aatrox or something. So I think it is pretty matchup specific if that is a problem, or if it is like it's still a good play.
I was gonna say a lot of it's matchup specific as well. You know, there's gonna be situations where you're pulling because you can't dive, and there's gonna be situations where you're pushing because you can't dive. It's just very specific to the game, and it's hard to put everything on like a same general rule set, I guess, for League.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the matchup is totally like impactful. But I'm saying even in regardless of what the lanes are or where in position, when people start or when the laners get to lane, like this is a trend that I've noticed specifically, you know, just with CLG. So like across multiple games. So
maybe it's correlated with our champion picks.
Yeah, like has Rune played Jace at all?
No, I don't think so.
Right, like Jace is a champion where I would say if he's pulling the wave for ganks, that might not be right, because Jace kind of wants to destroy lanes, and usually, like, you know what Stixxay was saying about sometimes you want to dive, sometimes you want to freeze. Like, Jace to me is a champion that will want to dive more often, and so if he's never pushing and diving with Jace, and you've seen it in 3 or 4 games, maybe that would be like a, hey, I don't think he's playing Jace correctly kind of discussion. But generally, it's hard to identify.
Hey, Ham, thank you so much for calling in. Is there anything you want to say at the end of the call?
Oh yeah, I'd like to make a shout out to travisgafford.com/lewd. Everyone should
thank you. Yes,
everyone should go check out that link.
I appreciate that. Look, please, it is a link. You go to travisgafford.com/lewd. I would not, if you are at work right now, I would not suggest you do it. It is not safe for work, and if you are under the age of 18, please don't go to that link.
Yes, only responsible adults go to this link.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ham, for the call.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good one.
Bye.
I think it's kind of funny that Twitch chat is like flaming him for being too general, and yet it still leads to what is probably the most detailed in-game thing we've talked about tonight.
Well, and also Twitch chat flaming anyone for thinking that they're making a general statement about a play or generalizing or whatever is just kind of funny, because, you know, Twitch chat is you're the smartest group.
It's I mean, it's impressive that you like notice that, you know.
Yeah.
Off of a team doing a specific thing every time, but yeah.
Hey, we got another caller coming in just a second, but really quickly, thank you to TRQNWR for 8 months, Slogmo Darfin for the Prime, and Tuna My Salad for the Prime. Fantastic stuff. APOC37, APOC, what do you want to talk about on the show?
First, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. It's actually my first time watching the show live, so this is awesome. Well, thank you.
Remind me where you're calling from. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I'm calling from Rexburg, Idaho.
Rexburg, Idaho. Our second Idaho caller, I believe, in the evening. And yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm happy that you're able to watch it live and come on the first. It's a lucky evening for you. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really believe that Team Liquid is going to have a hard time at Rift Rivals. I think they're going to choke. I hope they do well, but I really do think they'll choke, and that will tilt them for the following matches from the LCS split, and possibly drop down to the top 4 instead of first place.
You're saying they're in the season, like regular season, at bottom of top 4, or they'll also buster out in playoffs?
Yeah, so in the regular season, I think they'll just hit top 4 and they'll lose that bye that they have successfully obtained in the last few splits, right? But I think that's the case because, for one, Double Lift is just extremely inconsistent internationally, but also Team Liquid, like the bot lane especially, it just isn't playing as well as they did in the past. I think they're in some sort of slump, which is hard to tell because overall they're doing well right now. But I think it's not gonna hack it at Rift Rivals, and they're just gonna choke. Plus, I think the LEC teams are more likely preparing to play Team Liquid more so than they are for C9 or TSM. So they're just gonna have a harder time.
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about this because it's a Double Lift topic. I'm banned from
That's
those.
never stopped you before, actually. So.
All right, great. What are you talking about? Peter had a great performance at MSI up until the finals when the whole team shit the bed. And last year at Worlds, he did really well. I don't think that Double Lift has issues anymore at international events. I think he's playing great. He's a fantastic person, and very comfortable to lay next to in bed. Mark?
I don't think the teams care enough about Rift Rivals to get tilted at it from a bad performance. I don't quite like it can happen with MSI. Like, who knows exactly what is happening with SKT right now to make them one of the worst teams in Korea, because I don't think they should be. They're performing like it right now, and maybe some of that is MSI hangover. I don't really think there's going to be any big Rift Rivals hangover, and so they should be fine.
Well, don't you think that this Rift Rivals is a bit different, being that these are, the 2 regions that made it to the finals at MSI? It's going to be much more competitive and more heated than the past.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is 100 Thieves limp-dicking it out there with their random substitutions and then not caring. But I also think that, teams are not prepping. It's not like a tournament you prep for. Like, when you go to MSI, you have, like, weeks that you're boot camping with these other teams. Whereas, like, this is in the middle of the split. EU's jet lag. There's a million reasons that, like, people aren't super, like, try hard about it. And if you do get slapped around really badly, maybe it impacts it, but it's not quite like, oh my god, we have to reevaluate our team completely because we went to MSI and didn't hit our expectations or something. Stixxay, if you were at MSI and you got slapped, would you care?
You mean
at MSI?
Rift Rivals.
Rift Rivals. I mean, I would obviously care to an extent. I think that it's important to try to do well in whatever tournament you're in, but I've also got the vibe that I think teams don't put as much emphasis on it. Obviously, it's not like MSI or anything like that. But I just want to ask, who do you think is going to be better than TL after Rift Rivals when they collapse?
I know TSM has been looking great right now, but I think either TSM or C9 would really just take that spot. They would probably take the buys
do you own any team merch?
Do I own any team merch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I am a TSM fan, but I remain a little biased.
I think TL's gonna shit the bed. They're gonna be the laughing stock of Rift Rivals. They're gonna go out, and I think TSM is gonna head in. I'm just kidding. I appreciate the topic. I'm not trying to. I just think it's funny.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, we're just teasing.
Hey, to be fair, if they do finally pick a jungler and just stick with them, maybe they'll be able to get back to what they were last year.
I agree.
Yeah. Stixxay, do you think actually I'm kind of curious, Stixxay, do you think that Double Lift has been less consistent or their bot lane has been weaker this split?
I don't think so. I think in the one game that we played them, our matchup was pretty skewed to where we were just able to win really easily. And in terms of watching their games, I still think they're really good. I think there's a few games where, like they had some teamfight errors, but outside of that, it's like, I still think TL is TL. I think they're really good. And I would be really, really surprised if they... Maybe they don't do well at Rift Rivals. I still think they'll do Rift Rivals, by the way. But maybe they don't do well there. But I think it's really unlikely that they come back to LCS and start doing poorly.
Do you, for APOC's sake, do you think TSM is going to bounce back and we'll head off to Worlds?
I I mean, it's possible. I think they have a pretty odd jungle situation right now. I don't know what that whole thing is about. But yeah, maybe if they pick a jungler and stick with it. I think they're a really good team last year, but I do think they're playing a lot worse this split. So.
Yeah. Well, hey, APOC, thanks so much for calling in, and it's really exciting to have you on the show. I'm glad you were able to watch it live tonight. Anything that you want to shout out before we say goodbye?
No, I just, again, very grateful for you guys. Love you all, and we'll keep watching the show, keep creating good content.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good one. Moving on to, oh wow, Mark filled us up. We had an empty waiting room. I thought we were going to be done and then he pulled 3 more people. So we got more content coming. Toxfire, I think he's for 4 months, and I believe I said tuna my salad, but if not. And then I'm Tex with $2 says, thanks for all the content, Travis. Quick question, I haven't seen or heard from Hotshot GG in a long time. We don't take questions via donations, but I don't know what Hotshot's up to. Divide NZL is here. Divide, where are you calling from?
Queenstown, New Zealand.
From New Zealand, our second New Zealand caller. But you've been on the show before.
A couple of times.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
Sweet. I want to talk about how Riot needs to implement the mana lock to stop Aurelion Soul comps just being so strong and buff Knight's late game. I also reckon defense items are just too weak right now, and RNG items annoying.
So they already have a mana lock though?
But I think, didn't he say it's like 1 second or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's already implemented, but do you think that Aurelion Soul, for instance, should have a longer mana lock?
I feel like his ult is way too strong. It's way too much.
Well, no doubt. I can't imagine that there aren't Aurelion Soul nerfs incoming. But...
They already got nerfed today.
Oh, did he get nerfed today? How bad was the nerf?
It's still just
50 damage and a longer mana cost.
Okay.
So they're pretty significant given the mana cost thing.
Yeah.
It's what, 25 extra mana? Like Gwynso's is just so strong.
Yeah, it's 20 extra mana.
Well,
All right,
that's
listen.
part of the thing is like even if they nerf the damage a little bit and the mana, like all you need to do is get a little luckier with the items to compensate for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say. I'm taking this call. I'm going to lay the smack down. We'll move on because I don't want to keep Stixxay waiting here. ASOL is too strong for TFT, but the problem isn't ASOL. The problem is TFT. They don't have any Naga bonus. They don't have anything like Disruptor. They have no way to counter mages.
Well, except for the item.
Right, but that only you put on 1 unit.
Yeah.
I can make a build that I still have another physical threat. Like I can make the Sorcerer Wild build and have Shyvana, Gnar, and Nidalee who all do decent physical damage too. Okay? The problem is not just ASOL. The problem is the entire game. They need a Naga bonus or something that you can reactively do because you can't choose those items out of nowhere, right, Travis? You have to pick them beforehand.
Yes.
You have to get them beforehand through predicting that someone's going to go ASOL, which people generally do. It's not like a hard prediction, but it's not like, this guy is the ASOL player. Now I must make a decision. It's too late by then, which is not what makes auto chess games fun. Secondly, fucking Knights are strong late game. I don't know how people don't think Knights are strong. Knights are super strong late game.
Yeah.
They have a ton of 6 synergies. They have really strong ultimates on 2 of their late game units. They're hella strong. I refuse. Anytime people tell me Knights are weak, I'm like, are you 6 Knight or are you 4 Knight? What are you, Divide? Are you 4 Knight or 6 Knight?
Do you think because what is it, 80 damage on basic attacks?
Do you know how many units there are on the board late game? There's 8. That's 640 DPS drop from that bonus on auto attacks. It's super high.
Not to mention they have a lot of, the Knights inherently have a lot of abilities like Sejuani or whatever, that do kind of like a crowd control effect, right? So like if you're getting Knights, oftentimes you're also going to be getting more disruption for the damage that they're putting out.
You have to still pair it with something, right? Like Knights by themselves are not your entire comp.
Right, but you can go like Knights Glacial, for instance.
Knights Glacial, Ranger Knight's hella strong, because you'll end up with 2 invulnerabilities. You'll have Phantom, you'll have Ashe with Glacial bonus, plus some more CC, and then you can, that's only 8, so you can sprinkle in fucking Draven for your Imperial. You can do so much stuff with Knights. It has the smoothest build path of anything in the game, probably. It's strong early, it's fine mid, and it's strong late. Knights are fine. They don't need a buff. If they get buffed, they're going to be broken.
Hey,
I'm
Mark,
not
what do
saying
you,
they're the best comp in the game, because
what do you-
Glacials will beat them, Sorcerers will beat them, other things can beat them, but I swear to God, if they buff Knights, they're going to be broken.
Mark, what do you think of Assassins as a counter to ASOL?
Shit. Because they can position a soul and you'll never hit him.
Okay.
You can still beat it if you like. The thing about comps in auto chess type games is like any comp can beat any comp if you get far enough ahead with your comp and you high roll. So like I won a game with Assassins going double IE on things and just like popping the shit out of people. But that doesn't mean I'm always going to win with this. Like I still think a well-crafted sorcerer comp should beat it.
Stixxay, what's your take?
You can get back to me in about 22 hours.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
All right. Divide NZL, does that address your take?
Pretty much. I just knew Mike was kept posting on about TFT and whatnot, so I thought
Yeah.
it'd
I'm
be
a
fun
huge
to throw a
TFT. I love
question.
talking about it.
You know, I like talking about it too. I
What
like
do
talking
you,
about it too, and I feel like there's a chance, even though I'm an idiot when it comes to League of Legends game analysis, I feel like there's a chance I could wrap my head around the TFT meta.
Just wait till the rank comes out and you realize you're bronze in this shit too.
Let's move on.
What do you-
Divide NZL, is there anything you want to say at the end of the call?
Cheers for bringing me on. See you later, boys.
Thanks for calling in.
See it.
Moving on to the next two callers. The final two callers here. Abusive Pie, thank you for the 13 months. Very generous of you. Mars is here. Mars, where are you calling from?
Hello, I am calling from. Oh, let me mute.
What?
I'm calling from Edmonton, Canada.
From Canada.
Yeah.
Evington, Canada?
Yeah, it's in Alberta.
Okay, I need to Google Alberta. Is that one of like the middle provinces?
Kinda. So I know you know where Vancouver is. So you go
Yes.
one over.
Oh,
and
okay,
I'll-
okay, yes, yeah. I do know where
Yeah.
Vancouver is. I only know like
Yeah.
Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, which I think most Americans, well, they barely know about Canada, but the smart ones only know those three. Anyway.
I feel like as a Canadian, those are pretty much the three you kind of need to know.
Yeah. There's the Northwest Territories, by the way. Very fascinating. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So my take has been kind of something that I've been wanting to talk about for a really long time. I feel like I'm one of the only people who's thinking about this for some weird reason. But I think Baron is way too overpowered.
Baron is
and I'm not
overpowered?
really-
Sorry,
yeah,
continue.
like just a buff. And
Is
I'm
that-
not really sure how what the direction Riot wants to go with it. Is it supposed to be to just end the game purely, or
Well, in part, right? Because I know that was part of their goal, is they were trying to shorten game times, and they certainly have.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that what was it, the TSM game? What game was it that went the longest of the split so far, Mark?
TSM and was it 100 Thieves?
Optic?
Golden Guardians.
Optic? Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
How long
I
was
had
that
to drink
game?
a smoothie because of it. Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, the fact that was a 50-minute game and it was like 10 minutes longer, almost 10 minutes longer than like the longest game that we've seen so far, it really should. I remember whenever it was not unusual to see 55-minute games in the LCS, at least once a week or every other week. So I think that's a lot of it, right? Is that they were trying to shorten game times, and that's why Baron's so powerful right now. But look, I don't want to talk about it. If it's too powerful, I'll let Mark and Stixxay discuss that. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like it personally. I think it's at a good spot. I think in the Golden Guardians versus CSM game, if you look at the carries, it's like a Nivea and Sivir, and then Azir and Caitlyn. So the game just gets stalled out too long. I think if Baron was any weaker, it would be stalled even longer. I think the only time when Baron is pretty strong is when you have like a poke type comp. For example, like champions like Ezreal and Zoe, stuff like that is really like worthless when you're playing against a team that has Baron. But I think that's just usually due to earlier mistakes in the game. But I think Baron's at a pretty good strength. I like it. I don't want games to go any much longer than they are already.
What do you dislike about Baron being so strong right now, Mars? Are you frustrated whenever you see somebody get Baron and it feels like that's the game?
Yeah, exactly that. I feel like the game is, I don't want to say meaningless post 18 minutes, but I feel like games are sometimes almost decided already at that point, and then it just goes into a Baron dance, and it goes into whether or not the one team will capitalize on that first Baron. And I feel like there's no comeback potential after that first Baron, so the game will guaranteed end at 45 minutes come second Baron within 3 minutes of taking the Baron.
What was the game this weekend where they snuck? It was a 2-man Baron sneak
100
early.
Or there's one this weekend where just FlyQuest totally forgot about it, and 100 Thieves just took it for free.
Yeah.
I
think there's
didn't
another
watch the
one
games
too.
this weekend. I've actually kind of stopped watching because games have gotten so boring because
Really?
of Baron buff.
I feel like
Definitely.
I'm sad you missed last Saturday because I felt like those games were super hype. And I would encourage you to go back and watch a couple of them maybe if you're up for it. But
I watched Counter-Strike instead, which I know is heresy. I'm sorry.
The nice thing about a strong Baron, moving on from that, is it forces people to do things. Because if you have a Baron that's not super important, what people used to do back when vision control was really strong is they'd like try and bait Baron. The other team would be like, fuck it, take it, we don't care. Go have your 60 AD AP buff, and that's all it used to give. It didn't used to buff minions and stuff. So like people would just give up 2 or 3 Barons and scale. And like you need to make it strong enough to force people to do things, and I think it's really good at that. And of course that means it has to be strong, because if it wasn't strong, no one would contest it. So yes, it is very strong and does kind of lead to the game ending. But at least now people can't sack a Baron. Like if you can sack a Baron, I think the game is not in the right state.
yeah.
Really?
Well, you get so much action around the Baron pit, and there's so much posturing, and there's so many fights around that area, and I feel like honestly that might be part of the reason why we've seen. I mean, this is anecdotal. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think Mark would probably back them up. I feel like we're seeing way more kills this year than last year.
I think that's also meta based sometimes, but
Well,
potentially.
sure, but the Baron is part of the meta, right?
Yeah, true. But the Barons also stayed the same a little bit.
Yeah,
I think teams
Baron
do
hasn't
kind
changed
of
a ton.
get better, like at scrapping around Baron and then not like suiciding, like at 18 minutes around it and giving up free ones. So I think teams are getting better, but I find it so frustrating to watch a game that ends at like 24 minutes. I think this split actually has been a little bit longer. I actually took the averages from this week, and this week was actually surprising. It was 38 minutes, I think, on Sunday, and then 34 minutes for Saturday.
Yeah.
I
And
kind
you
of
want
wanted
longer
to go
games?
a little bit. I want longer games, yeah.
I'm actually okay
Ooh.
with those numbers, 34
You
and
like
38.
short games?
Stixxay, you want to be at the studio longer?
I don't think those are short
No.
games. I think those are okay games. Like I think 34 to 38 is the sweet spot. I don't think I want like 25-minute games, but I definitely don't want like 48-minute games.
Well,
And the
like
nice
I said,
thing
I
is-
was a little surprised, but
And I think the nice thing of a 34 to 38-minute game is that it actually makes the outliers feel much more impressive. Like whenever you see the TSM Golden Guardian Slugfest go on, you're like, whoa, this game, it feels really crazy when you're like, here's another Elder and another Baron, and it makes that game feel really great. On the other hand, like short games, it's like, whoa, they just got smashed, right? Like that feels like the happy medium to me.
I guess, yeah. I don't know if anyone wants to watch Clutch and FlyQuest for 40 minutes, so.
I think it's also important to note that it's not like the team that gets Baron just instantly wins the game, right? They still have to play really well to end the game. And a lot of times the enemy team can also defend it a lot better than we typically see in LCS, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of room for improvement in that aspect, but teams that have Baron still have to play the game very well to win.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the IGTL series game, there were 2 games that IG got a Baron and lost. And those are some of the best teams in the world. And if Baron was completely overpowered, that wouldn't happen.
True. I do think it takes, like... I actually kind of disagree with Stixxay at that point. I think it's easier to play with it than it is hard. But, I mean, I could be way wrong with that, obviously. But I just feel like you also gain such a significant gold lead, too. Like, sometimes the games are almost even, and then all of a sudden you get the Baron, and it's like 5k difference, and now the game's actually over. And I know you guys are kind of talking about how, that doesn't happen all the time, but I feel personally, as someone who has watched League since, the
Yeah,
dawn
I
of
just feel
time.
like, especially this past weekend, I didn't see very many high Baron power plays, right? Like the number.
I think it's actually settled down this split a little bit, so maybe I should start watching a bit, because I was actually really surprised to see all of these game times and kind of see how it ended too. I almost wish that I was able to be more prepared and see how many Barons were taken in these games, because I think that's a bigger indicator of how the games are going, especially
There were
with
a lot.
Baron.
Well, so there's two things. One, Mars, unfortunately, I think you're in the minority of people in terms of what they enjoy watching in League.
Oh, definitely. I think people like fast games.
Yeah, they're like fast and bloody. The other thing is that, the Baron is intentionally designed to be the end game reward for winning a fight. You rarely see a Baron taken without having to do something first. And so the Baron is the reward for doing that thing correctly. When CLG lost their game against C9, they lost a fight in the mid lane trying to siege down mid turret, and then the Baron went over. And that's kind of what makes those fights so important, so exciting, is because if someone wins that fight, they're probably winning the game. And like, the game was totally open until that point. Yes, once C9 had it, it's looking pretty fucked for CLG, but like, that's how the game is played. I think myself and a lot of people like that everyone is focused on winning a fight so they can get that Baron, or finding a pick so they can get that Baron, not, getting a pick, getting a fight, getting a Baron, sitting around for 6 minutes, next Baron spawns, get a bigger gold lead, grow it up to 15k before you can dive a base turret,
Yeah, true.
Hey, Mars, thanks so much for calling in. Anything you want to say as we say goodbye?
Nah, not really. Just go CLG, as usual.
Thank you.
See ya.
Hell yeah.
All right, our last caller coming up here in just a second. But stick around, because after the show, I've got a special surprise for everybody. I think you'll really enjoy it. Night G LOL, thank you for the 2 months, and Vape Enthusiast 69, great Twitch name. Thank you for the sub. Zero is here. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes.
Right,
Shit,
Zero.
I thought you were going to get it wrong for sure, like I did.
Well, how did you say it?
I said like Cairo.
That's how a lot of people say it.
Zero. Well, look, I'm really good at, I just connect with people, and I know these things inherently. Zero, where are you calling from?
Jackson, Michigan.
Jackson, Michigan. Well, thank you for being a sub. It's really nice whenever I see people sub to the channel. Sub. Zero. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So my take is that, aside from MVP and the All-Pro team, the LCS awards for each split are done really bad and could take a lot out of being moved to a yearly format instead of every split.
So you're talking about rookie and coach, right?
Yeah, I think they could also add a lot more.
Okay. And you said they should be moved to yearly instead of splitwise?
Yeah, aside from coach and MVP.
All right. I mean, I want you to expand, but the very first thing I would point out, just while it's on my mind, is like, I feel like they already suffer from so much recency bias that if you're asking somebody in August to remember how well somebody might have done in like January and February, like that's just, I don't think that, I think people will only remember Summer Split whenever they're voting.
That's fair. I think the main thing I was thinking about were I was thinking mostly about rookie as a split. I think that award's just really bad for the most part, because I remember back when for EU LCS, back when it was at Whippo, I believe it was his first split. He didn't play enough games to count for theirs, and then the next split he had played too much, so they had to like come up with Rookie of the Year on the fly for him, I believe. And I look at players like Wiggly, who could, if it was Rookie of the Year, he improved a lot more. I think they could also add a most improved player, stuff like that. I think it's a more breadth to look at for player performance, and I just think it's something that could possibly be done, and they can make a bigger deal out of it that way.
I actually think I like the idea of a comeback player of the Summer
that's the one I always
Split.
wanted.
So what if there was only in Summer Split you could get comeback player, where it's a lot of like thinking about how the player did in spring versus summer, that kind of thing.
I think you could even do it for spring. There's going to be a guy who had a shit season who has a good one. Stixxay, how much do you care about awards at the end of the split? Do you guys pay attention to that?
I mean, I think every pro pays a lot of attention to the awards. I think, in my mind, like every pro's goal should be to try to get MVP for a split. It's always been my goal, but yeah, I think on the topic that recency bias is pretty important when it comes to these decisions, and maybe they should just add like a most improved player over the year or something. Maybe they should have split awards and then yearly awards, like separate them or something. But I do think some need to be split by split, but I think there could definitely be some that go by year.
Do you care about? So I know you like MVP. What about like all pro team? Do you guys take pride when you're like, I made the all pro roster or something like that?
I don't think so. I don't know if I've ever made all pro roster actually, but
really, what about?
There's
Spring?
got to be one split, like
There-
20,
you had-
2016.
I might have.
Yeah.
I don't know. If it's not first, doesn't matter. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think people care too much. I think people definitely care a lot more about like MVP of the
Does
split.
it feel bad when if no member? Because I don't know. I'm not gonna make any assumptions because I forget. But I'm pretty sure no one from CLG made any of the 3 all pro teams last split.
Well, only one player who wasn't TSM C9 or TL did.
Santorin, I think.
Santorin, yep.
So does that feel bad? Or maybe last split it didn't feel bad because you're like, well, fucking no one, none of any besides Santorin did it, you know. So, but I don't know if that feels bad at all.
I mean, not really. I don't know. In my eyes, it's like that year is like 14 out of 15 players on TSM C9 and TL, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those things where when you're on those kind of teams, you're just going to naturally look better because the team works really well together and you have like an agency in the team. Whereas a lot of the other teams, you're still trying to figure out like what the hell's going on, and so naturally the players just look a lot worse. So it's kind of expected, I guess.
Who didn't deserve it last split? If it was just their team carried them to that award, who would you have taken off?
Oh God, man, I have to think of the rosters.
The only person who didn't make it was Acadian for TSM, which Santorin stole.
I see. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because it's also like last split, TSM, C9, and TL had really good players, right? So it's hard to just be like, no, they didn't deserve it because I think from the eye test they looked really good as well.
Yeah.
My point was just that you tend to look better when your team is not.
It's almost always made up of top 4 teams. So yeah.
But, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Nothing. I was just gonna say I think I totally agree with Stixxay though about the like some split and some yearly. Rookie of the split happens too often. Like there's not enough turnover to have a good candidate every time.
Yeah.
Like yes, Viper was pretty good last split, but Wiggly's really good this split, but he can't because he was a rookie last split, and now it's like, I guess, bruh, fake
Well,
God
and then you have
wins it.
stuff where like you have players that are. It feels really weird, I think, for NA fans who watch NA and they're like, "Oh, this Broken Blade guy has never been around before, and he's not like a big player from the LEC or something." And you think, okay, well maybe he can get it because this is kind of his coming out year in one of the major. And then it's like, nope, he's not qualified. So it is weird because we do bring in like new faces or whatever, and they don't always have the ability to qualify either.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ciro.
I think a lot of time too, what can happen is someone comes in spring split, they like pop off as a rookie. I think it can happen a lot, especially for junglers. And then it seems like in summer they kind of get figured out or they fall off a lot harder. And then suddenly they went from rookie to split to just another average player. I think that's another thing that can happen too with it if you go split by split.
Yeah. Stixxay, if you could design one award, what award would you want to exist?
Oh man.
Trevor of the year.
Let's see.
The winner is Quick Shot.
Yeah, there actually is a few Trevors in esports, or I guess a lot of esports. God, I feel like for me it just has to be most improved player of the year, and I also feel like that's an award that's like really feels really good to get, because you're like, wow, people really notice how good or how much better I got. So that'd probably be one.
What about like most fashionable player of the year?
What about some Gaffies?
I could see that.
The Gaffies? Did you watch the Gaffies?
He didn't.
No. I don't know what that is.
They're okay. Well, I'll link it to you. It's really good.
Travis put on a little show and handed out awards.
I was thinking I had forgotten about that because it was like right at the beginning of the year, and then obviously the season started. I forgot about it until recently, and I'm still so. It's actually maybe my favorite thing I've done this year. Was that award show? So. I highly recommend if you missed the Gafford Esports Awards, go back. I made fun of virtually everyone. So I feel like that was pretty good. Stixxay, I linked it to you.
I'll go to watch.
You don't have to watch it.
No. Stixxay, as soon as the show's done, I want you to immediately open it and watch it. It's very good.
I'm watching it right now, don't worry.
Okay, good. If you do you want to tell us what you're seeing and what you're enjoying about it?
I see Travis in a suit. Is that tux?
It is a tux, yes.
Nice, I like it.
Oh.
Is this fake? This is all green screen, right?
Well, you know, it's high caliber. Zero.
Oh, it's Ovally. Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of cameos. Uzi.
This is really long.
Uzi sent a video for it. We got a lot of people. Zero.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Zero, what do you got for us? Anything here at the end?
Not much. I guess I just hope to see CLG in Detroit for finals. When I started watching Professional League during the MSI finals run, been my favorite team since. So that'd be hype. Hope you guys make it to Worlds. And shout out to the friends I play with, especially Connor, whose birthday it is.
Well, thank you for calling in. I really liked your topic, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So that is the show. I've got a surprise for people that stick around. I'm going to show them a really fun interview that we did this week that's coming out tomorrow. Mark, what do you got for us?
Not much. TFT technically comes out tomorrow, but I think it's a rollout regionally, so we might not get to Wednesday. I definitely want to make a lot more TFT content. My YouTube channel got sort of deleted because my Team Liquid email, which it was synced to, is gone. So I'm trying to get it restored onto my TheMarkZ email.
Did you reach out to YouTube about it?
I reached out to Alex, but he didn't respond. He was responding initially, and then I went silent for 3 months, and now he's not responding. So kind of my fault. But yeah, if not, I'll find another way because I want to talk about this game with other people. So we'll figure it out.
I know someone who has a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why don't you have more of my content on your YouTube channel? You have my power rankings already.
Yeah, people like that.
Oh shit! Someone else said drunk player ratings are coming up, so probably 4th of July again. Me, Scara, and hopefully we can get some more casters in it this time and other people, other personalities. Travis, you want to do a drunk player rating stream?
Yeah, but I would need to rate them on something other than their play.
No, dude, it's fine. It's a group poll anyway, so it doesn't matter. You'll get flamed by Twitch chat. It doesn't. It's for fun.
I'm open to it. Just let's talk about it. Yeah. All right, Stixxay, what do you want to plug? What do you want to shout out? What you got going on? What's going on?
Not too much. I'm definitely pretty hungry, so I'll probably go eat soon. But thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on. Does CLG have any merch that you want to show?
Store.sealgaming.net.
was stealing it earlier.
Store.sealgaming.net.
Store.sealgaming.net. All right, there you go. People can go check out the CLG. Oh, you guys have some Pride stuff on there. That's kind of cool. All right. Well, that has been the show. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Hey, we didn't really have any very many technical issues, which is great because in the past we've had. I mean, I know there were a couple bumps, but like, I'm sorry that we've had some issues. We're trying to make sure that doesn't happen. I love this show and I want to make sure that everybody really enjoys it. And speaking of the show, please tune in again Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific to make sure you catch the live Hotline League. Stixxay is going to be there with Weldon. It's going to be great.
Just us.
And if you're in LA, be sure to come by as well. If you have a ticket to Rift Rivals, you get priority, but there should be some space for some other folks too. So you can tweet at Alienware if you have any questions. That's it for the show here. Thanks everyone for watching, and I love you all. Goodbye.